Hi everyone, and welcome to another InfraView Spotlight series. I am absolutely delighted to have Richard Beeston on with us today, CTO of Digital Space. So Digital Space delivers progressive digital solutions that enable organizations to transform at pace. In brief, cover digital cloud, networking, connectivity to maximize data, improve workflow, and accelerate clients' technology growth. And I'm sure much more. But Richard, I know you're super busy, so thanks so much for finding time to go under the spotlight today. Let's kick things off with, do you want to give us a bit of an overview of, I suppose, your career and how you got in the industry?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Tim. Thanks for having me along today as well.
No worries.
Adding it up, I've spent about 15 years in the industry now, which seems like an inordinately long time.
Yeah.
I always had an interest in technology and things, and that progressed into getting a computer and taking it to bits and breaking it, and then needing to find some help to get it back into shape, and then did a degree in network engineering and various other things, and then my career's progressed from there. So I've worked at various places like software houses and been an IT manager in an actual manufacturing facility, and then worked for some well-known brands like Vodafone, and then now find myself at Digital Space at a really exciting sort of point for us as a business. So yeah, that's a sort of 30-second overview of the last 15 years of my life, really.
Yeah, I love it. When was the first time you touched that computer? When, because I hear this quite time and time again, people that have been in the industry as long as you have, it's like, right, yeah, I saw my first computer, I smashed it up and tried to rebuild it. How young were you?
Well, so it came with Windows 95 on it, so that'll probably give it away slightly. Around then, I'd suspect, 95, 96, and my mum bought a computer rather than a console because you couldn't at that point in time. PC gaming wasn't what it was today, so
no.
she had a delusion that it was going to be much better for my education than buying a Mega Drive.
Yeah, oh God, yeah, the Mega Drive. Yeah, where was I? I think I was Nintendo, then Super Nintendo. Before that, sort of Game Boys and Game Gears and stuff. But it was one of those ones where I didn't get into the IT industry myself from a hands-on perspective, but yeah, loved gaming as a kid, and unfortunately now I'm sort of seeing my two boys go through it, so I'm trying to get them out as much as I possibly can in the garden to play football and basketball, but equally at the same time it's an opportunity for them to interact with their mates. So cool. All right, wicked. Look, 15 years. You're in the MSP solution provider world now. Let's bring it back into digital space.
Yeah.
What's the people want to know what the core focus is, for the business right now, and I appreciate it's quite a broad question, but yeah, what's the focus? What's the strategy?
So, as you pointed out, we have quite a large array of things we could do for a customer. We're generally, well set up within our product portfolio. We've spent quite a bit of time over the last year paring that down and working on it to make sure we're absolutely relevant to our target market. So, our real sweet spot of customers is corporate mid-market organisations who are UK headquartered. So we figure like 250 to 5,000 plus employees. Generally as well, distributed environments. So that could be retail, hospitality, manufacturing, sort of merchant type organisations, or generally companies with a headquarters and then satellite offices. And we find those customers are quite often either underserved with the providers they've got today, or they're looking to change what they're doing because they've either got elements of legacy technology and technology debt, or they're looking at converging their solutions into a more outcome-based thing rather than something that's just a big cash sinkhole that sometimes IT can be.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and look, I love the range of client user, right? 255,000. I mean, that's huge, right? Across different sectors. And from a technology strategy, or no, from a technology go-to-market, right? Because you look at digital space and, all over the website, I've heard nothing but great things. Everyone's talking about you guys in terms of service, excellent strategy, technology. But what's your go-to-market from a technology perspective? Because you mentioned, well, we speak to customers where they've got old legacy, and then we'll move them to what?
Yeah, okay. So we've got a couple of things we can talk about from a technology perspective, and then we've created through the last year a sort of universal managed service architecture that will go over the top of it. So
Wow.
And we've made that in terms of sort of shared responsibility between us and a customer. So you may have seen, customers wanting to talk about things like co-management, where they want to keep a little bit of control.
Yeah.
Kind of break fix stuff still out there. Some customers want to buy it, but it's moving more into the co-management, fully management world. So we do it on like a scale of shared responsibility. Love that. Obviously, with the top end sort of premium service being fully managed, where we own it. When we're addressing customers, it's reasonably difficult to differentiate yourself in the market, right? Other people you've had on this podcast, and you'll have in the future, we'll talk about value-based selling and digital transformation and all of that, and reference-based architectures. So
absolutely,
table stakes, we do all of that, obviously.
Of course.
We tend to work with customers around, what are they actually trying to do? Is it they want to reduce abandoned calls? Is it they want to make sure customers have a great Wi-Fi experience in their hospitality area? Is it that they've got technology, that they don't know what to do with, or they've done some kind of transformation but they aren't really sure anymore? So we see that quite a bit in the cloud. Some people may have moved all of their architectures to a public cloud environment, and then now they're actually thinking, well, hybrids might be a better way for us. We've got big data requirements that's maybe costing us a little bit than we thought. So some stuff's coming back into the colo, private data center, private cloud area, and other stuff staying absolutely with Azure or AWS because it's the absolute right thing to do. So we tend in the cloud to do, put the right workload in the right place.
Yes.
And then we manage it in a uniform way. So, the customer kind of likes that, because then they go, well, actually, I'm going to get the outcome that I want. The service is ubiquitous across it, and I can get the best of both worlds, really. I can go and look at flashing lights and cabinets if I want to, for stuff that I want to own, or stuff that I'm never going to move to the cloud. Some organizations still have line of business tooling or applications that can't be put into public cloud, or the customer doesn't want to, or it's cost prohibitive. We'll absolutely look after that in our data centers for them. But we can also put stuff in AWS and Azure and completely transform their workload to be more, future ready, I guess.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I love that. I wrote down shared responsibility, and I think that's really key, because, you see a lot of businesses that are kind of sort of going in with one hat fits all. And actually, that's just not the case. Given the technology, when we use the word digital transformation, cloud keeps, has been coming up for years now. And actually, it was like, we went from on-prem to cloud. Everyone wanted public. Well, they had private, then they wanted public. Now they want private. Now they want hybrid. And actually, I love what you said there. It's that shared responsibility. It's understanding what the client actually, what they've got in place now, where they're looking to go. And it might be that you just give them one form of upgrade or one form of solution that allows you guys to look at the bigger picture, but throughout a process, opposed to this is it, this is how it's going to be, where actually they might not be ready for everything right now, right? And
exactly. And I think that's a good point of that process, right? So you want to, we tend to be talking to customers about, a lot of customers in that mid-market area will have a idea of what they want. Some of them even will have already chosen a particular vendor or solution or something. They might go, I definitely want Fortinet SD-WAN. That's great. We can absolutely do that for you. What sort of service do you want around it? What sort of licensing or security features do you want to enable?
Yes.
Or we're not sure. and then you can start talking to customers about, well, other customers that we serve that look similar to you take this level of service because of this, and this.
Absolutely.
Or they might have challenges around skill sets, or you know, going to the next level when it comes to something like SASE.
Yes.
And then you go, okay, well, that's where Digital Space can step in and provide the fully managed service wrap around that solution. So it is in that middle part of the market. Enterprise is very different, as I'm sure you can appreciate.
Of course.
And we do serve those sort of customers through our SI partners. And the SMB channel is again very different. Those customers are probably, yes, of course they want references and case studies and all of that, but it's a slightly different, more subtle sort of proposition you put into them. Whereas the mid-market's much more, it is consultative, but also a lot of those customers do, I don't know whether like's the right word, but they are receptive to being advised on what the right solution is.
Absolutely. Yeah, and look, flexibility is key. I think we talked about that public-private hybrid. It's not here's one solution, either take it or leave it. It's like, well, let's look at what's going to work now and how it's going to enhance and empower you guys moving forward, right? And you talked about, sort of, I suppose, cloud networking, SASE, SD-WAN, and then we also talked about sort of traditional infrastructure from on-prem to cloud, AWS and Azure. Is there a split between your business right now, what you're leaning more towards, or what's more established, or where you're seeing a bigger demand at the moment? Because you kind of got two worlds there, right? You've got sort of network security, connectivity, and then you've got sort of cloud and data center. Yeah,
I mean, it's always interesting to see the sort of ebb and flow of these sort of projects and activities that the customers do. So I would say over the last year to 18 months, we've seen a real push with transformative activity in the connectivity space. So
perfect.
Whether that's a move from legacy underlay connectivity, broadband into FTTP or something, which is clearly being driven by the PSTN switch off, or whether it's and this is obviously more likely, customers going, actually the solution that I put in 5 or 6 years ago, the security landscape's changed, my requirements have changed. I now want to move from whatever they've got today. It could be a full MPLS, it could be something different. Okay. I'd like to move to an SD-WAN deployment because I've got different application requirements, different security requirements. And then, of course, when you're having an SD-WAN conversation, because we're not just a ISP type organization that stops at the router, and because of the solutions that we're able to deliver, you naturally start to talk about inside the facility. So what we determine as SD branch. So what's happening with your switches, Wi-Fi access points, all of that sort of stuff. Because you can then start to think with the customer about how do we bring that, and have they got an appetite to bring that under a single solution? Obviously there's pros and cons of converging those together. We are seeing the vendors and customers converging solutions in that space. They're going to what's the phrase? It's not best of breed for these different solutions anymore. It's kind of best outcome. So we know in enterprise, just because they're different, they would buy best of breed technology. They would have a plethora of vendors quite regularly, and they would have the absolute best thing to meet their needs. Whereas in the mid-market, they've kind of moved away from that slightly and gone, actually, if working with a single solution and a single managed service provider is much easier for me to conduct my own business, and I can leave those guys to do a great job so I can concentrate on my business, it's much more sort of palatable to them to go, actually, I might not get a few features and functionality that I would with multiple vendors.
Brilliant.
I love it. Work with our customers around that sort of stuff. And then I've sort of gone off topic slightly, but we do see projects, particularly in the public cloud space. There's still a lot of organisations moving to public cloud or moving around in the public cloud. We work very closely with Amazon Web Services.
Okay.
We've got great referenceability in the public sector with those guys, particularly with housing and NHS, the latter, where we've implemented new sort of UC contact center solutions to drive down patient waiting time on calling platforms. So, there's real world use cases for public cloud that are absolutely the right thing to do, and we continue to see those opportunities. We have seen, though, a huge uptake in SD-WAN and connectivity projects.
Definitely.
So I think we did the COVID lockdown thing. Then people took a minute and they were like, right, what projects were we thinking about? What have we changed? And now what do we really need to do? And I think the last year to 18 months has really been that, right, let's pick up the projects again, dust them down, make sure they're the right ones, and then kick on. And we've seen it's quite often been the case as well when we've done an SD-WAN deployment, that's followed quite closely with a UC transformation, or
definitely,
sometimes the other way around, but it tends to be, let's get the network right first and then now do the UC transformation.
Love it. Brilliant. I mean, look, so safe to say any customer out there that is looking to transform their technology from old legacy to new, whether that be cloud and data center, IT infrastructure, network connectivity, security, cyber, you guys have got it covered, right? And, there's that sort of technology landscape that you have the ability to be able to go and enhance and empower any client, customer, what is the, because look, there's a lot of technology there, and there's a lot of services, and it looks like you're kind of looking at the PS and then bringing it back to the managed services side, right? So, what, I suppose from a challenge perspective, what challenges have you guys had to overcome? You mentioned COVID earlier. You mentioned that, I think, well, not just you guys, but the whole world had to sort of adapt, change, look at, what do we need to do right now that will allow us to continue adding value to our customers, but we also look at our business internally to make sure that we're able to operate properly, right? So we've kind of got out the other side now, and like you said, you're now seeing a slight difference in technology or a different demand off the back of us saying, right, this is now what we need to be able to move forward. But what challenges have you had to overcome over the last sort of few years from a technology business perspective?
I think to probably sound a bit grand, but the macroeconomic situation's not particularly helpful.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
We sort of started with the wonderful supply chain problems at the sort of back end of COVID and lockdown and all of that, where you couldn't get hardware for a while, or it was a bit of a almost like day trading to get bits of hardware. That seems to have freed up now.
Definitely.
The next one after that is cost of power and services. So we've got data centers like many of our peers. Rising electricity prices, as our customers feel as well, is not particularly helpful when running a business. So we have to do things within our own business to improve that situation. So we're not
definitely
pricing ourselves out of the market. So we're investing in our data centers to make them more efficient, and doing activity with customers around efficient use of their materials. I think we've got those kind of challenges have really hit, I think, most businesses, certainly in the UK, in one way or the other. Rising supplier costs, interest rates, all of those things are making it quite a challenging environment. And then I think when it comes to our industry, what a lot of managed service providers have seen in the industry over the last sort of 12 months is the decision cycles being prolonged slightly in some customers. So
definitely,
added levels of scrutiny, or customers just wanting to push things into a next quarter just because of their cash flow or their business requirements. And obviously that's a knock-on of the stuff we were discussing before, but it all sort of goes together to create quite a challenging environment.
100%.
I think we've navigated that reasonably well. We've been able to work with our customers on interest in commercial, what would you call it? Interest in commercial sort of stacking with our partners and customers as well, to help free up deals. With you can chunk things up into different payment milestones, or make a big project several little ones. So we have to think differently, both as us as an organization, but also as an industry. If we want to continue to serve customers with great solutions, as you pointed out, we have to chop and change a little bit.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, look, off the back of COVID, I think it went a bit crazy, if I'm honest. I mean, even from a recruitment perspective, the MSP solutions by the word, it was like everyone just wanted to just spend to recover. That's kind of how it felt. It was like there's still loads of pipeline there. We've now got access to the technology or the kit that we are able to, utilize to deliver, to then implement, to then manage, etc. And yeah, we just saw, sort of 2 years of everyone just sort of spending a huge amount of money. And I think what you've just said there, over the last sort of 12 to 18 months, it's kind of been on the edge of caution a little bit. It's like, well, we're only going to spend this if we really need it, or actually our clients are taking a little bit longer than what the usual cycle generally takes. That, if everyone's doing that, it suddenly starts to make the market look like it's worse, but actually it's not. It's just a bit slower, right?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you've got to think differently internally to make sure that you're still adding that value to the customers in the right frame of time.
Yeah.
No, I love it. And for me, I think challenges enabled us to look at things potentially that we weren't actually focusing on previously. I'm a big believer of when, God, shit hits the fan, it gives us a chance to look internally a little bit more opposed to externally, because externally is always looking pretty great. We've got great service, we've got great people, we've got great clients, there's loads of business. But actually, when we are hit with the unknown, we start to look internally at our business, our operation, how it functions, how it works. And actually that unearths the opportunity to practically strengthen that to, I suppose, safeguard us from, if anything was like that to happen again, right? And I think that's an important lesson for every business to learn, regardless of what sector you're in. Okay, cool. So, you talked about sort of, challenges. What's the plans, for the next few years? I don't like that sort of next 5-10 year plan. I mean, I almost like sprints. If we're looking at the next sort of 1 to 2 years, what's the plans right now?
So we've got, as you can imagine, we've got a number of things on the go. Talked about our sort of universal managed service.
Yep.
At the top of this, we've got some work to finish around that, just in a few different areas. But that's launched and ready. So there's a lot of tidying up exercises to do. As you pointed out, these are good times to sort of go through and really ask yourself questions of whether that thing's right or that thing's not. So
absolutely,
there's an undercurrent of that to be doing. We obviously we provide SD-WAN, right, and MPLS and all of that networking stuff. So this year, SASE is going to be the disruptive conversation. Whether it's going to be the disruptive solution to sell, it's shades of 2016, 2017 with SD-WAN of that one. But we're super excited about it. It plays absolutely. Particularly the single vendor SASE plays absolutely to us and our customer base around. You've got an SD-WAN or you're thinking about an SD-WAN. How can we further secure your environment? Because clearly cybersecurity is not going away. The bad actors are getting ever more elegant and forceful in the attacks that they're making. It's a business in its own right, the sort of hacking industry. So we have to make sure we're on the best footing we can be with our customers, and I think SASE helps us do that. We've got some really good stuff coming down the line with the UC and C portfolio as well. We spent the start of this year building the Mitel subscription system within our own data center. So we've got a very flexible subscription-based product set there to address customers who don't want to move to the public cloud solution with 8x8, which is one that we offer as well. But they don't want to have a big flashing PBX on site and all of that. So it's kind of a nice, halfway for those guys, and we'll be layering over sort of AI-based contact center solutions on that as we come to the end of this year.
There it is, the famous word.
I know, we made it. We know, we almost got through a technology conversation, didn't we?
25 minutes. We got before we mentioned the word AI.
Yeah. And well, that does sort of take us on to the cloud area, right? So we do we with our partners AWS and Azure, you know, we do readiness assessments and all of that kind of activity around is, you know, what are your workloads? Where's your data? Is it right to move to this particular environment? And, you know, the stuff that we're evolving into is your data ready for AI? You know, have you got your data in the right place? If you have, great. Have you got your policies set up? Or what do you mean? All right. Well, you don't want everybody being able to access the HR data, do you? You know,
Yeah.
all of that sort of stuff. So we're working through that with our customers now, and that's, you know, something that is super easy, right? Because to jump straight to, oh, we need Copilot. I bet something will buzz or something if I say the wrong word, but Copilot or the one that exists on your iPhone that I'm not going to say because it'll spark up.
Yeah.
You know, you can jump straight into that. But really, you know, we need to make sure that we've curated the environment properly for customers. You know, what data do you want to point that AI tool set at? What do you want to achieve with it? What's the policy around it? Is it secure? And I think, you know, that's now coming through, certainly with the vendors we work with. You know, Cisco, Fortinet have been very forthright in the way that they describe the use of AI within business. So either, you know, as we'd use it as AI ops to add efficiency into our service management practices, or, you know, as a customer might use it as a productivity gain. It's a tool. You know, it's not one single AI that's always walking with you.
Definitely.
You know, you've got your you know, you've got Microsoft Copilot, so which I've been trialing for a couple of months, and, you know, it's pretty good on some stuff, and then other stuff you're like, oh, okay, fine, needs a bit of work. And then you know, you've got the AI ops side, which is, you know, we've seen this, that happened before, would you like us to do this? Or, you know, you want to implement a policy, that's great, I'm going to go and implement that across your network fabric. Oh, by the way, I've spotted this one thing that might conflict with that, what do you want to do about it? That's a really great use of AI, but it's a very different use of AI than going, Copilot, can you make this slide deck look beautiful? So Definitely. It's just a load more different spanners and screwdrivers in your toolkit, really. And we just need to help customers navigate sort of the almost that shiny kind of, oh, it's AI, it's brilliant, to boil that down slightly into what is it you really want to do? Definitely. And are you absolutely ready to do it?
Do you know what? I love the way you've just broken that down. And look, we joke and say 25 minutes, we haven't mentioned AI. We're going to talk about it. You know, you mentioned it. Look, everyone's talking about it, right? And it's like, who's using it, who's bought into it, who's ready for it, right? You know, and I'm seeing and speaking to a lot of customers that, you know, the ones that are embracing it and saying, look, it's here to stay, but there are layers to it, right? Mm-hmm. You know, everyone's got access to some form of AI, but it's how they want to use it and what they want to use it for to enable them to do better, you know, with less, right? You know, we kind of want to use AI automation to get rid of some of the grunt work, but not to replace that human interaction, right? And
no, absolutely not.
And it's like, just for the purpose of the audience, and I love what you talked about there early in terms of that technology stack. I mean, wow. I mean, you guys are working with all the latest cutting edge technologies. You know, right now there's not a network security connectivity consultant that we don't speak to that doesn't mention SASE, right? And, you know, they want to go, no, but as in that, you know, whenever they leave or go to a next business, you know, they want to be part of a company that is speaking to their customers about that, or working on projects that involve that, right? And then once that is in place, what does the future look like? And these are this is why I love having these conversations, because, you know, everyone wants to work for businesses that are embracing all the latest cutting edge technologies, are working with customers on, you know, the next gen solutions, not just what's here right now. But yeah, no, that's in terms of, you know, the AI, I get it. Are you guys ready and equipped and already having those conversations with the customers? Because before you answer that, I'm sitting here, even internally, from a sort of small to medium-sized recruitment company, we're using all the tools that are accessible, you know, to allow us to get rid of some of the grunt work, but get closer to that face-to-face human interaction, right? Yeah. And what I'm seeing, and I'm not a technical guy at all, but I'm seeing that AI is across everything. Yeah, every form of technology, whether it be cloud, connectivity, networking, security, etc. It's how you use it and what you want it for will determine how great that will be.
Yeah.
But that's from a complete non-technical perspective. How are your customers responding to you introducing AI?
So on the hybrid cloud side, that's been received quite well, and that very much is the foundational grassroots stuff of, is your data ready, is your business ready, have you thought about this sort of stuff. When it comes to perhaps say the Microsoft 365 world, some customers are absolutely wanting to know about it, and we can run workshops with them around, are you ready for Copilot, blah, 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 blah. Quite a lot of them are still in the sort of, or at least I the ones I speak to are sort of in the middle ground of, yeah, I'd like to try it, but I'm not really sure it's going to add that much benefit to me, given, perhaps the cost increase it might incur to me. But, I think it does show value. The way we've been using Copilot has been quite interesting. So where it does work super well is if you do a Teams call, you ask it to summarize the actions, it'll give you all the actions and notes. So that's great. You do have to remember, you're live on Channel 4, please don't swear, sort of thing. It's all going to be recorded and it's there for time immemorial. But it's really good at summarising actions and taking notes and providing that information back and freeing up people's time to actually concentrate on the conversation, which is kind of the point of it. So I think with the 365 side, it's all about the demonstrating that to the customer, almost showing real world use cases of how we've used it as a, as you pointed out, as a technology provider. If I'm talking to you about it, what have I done, and how do you relate that to your business? Do you
Absolutely
summarize your emails, or do funky stuff in Excel that you'd have thought would have been beyond your capability, or something like that? I think that's where we're at with it.
Yeah, and I think that's what everyone's looking for right now. It's like, well, when it first come out, everyone wanted quick answers. We didn't have the answers because we've got to use it, we've got to work with it, we've got to see where the flaws are, we've got to see how it's going to benefit us. And then exactly what you just said there is kind of taking the case studies to the customer and going, well, if we do it this way, this is the benefits, but this is what it could look like moving forward. I mean, God, Copilot, we're using this internally for, weekly, monthly reviews, right? To save someone just sitting there either typing or writing notes down. But that's the bare minimum of what it can do. And, we are, speaking to so many customers now that are having sort of fairly serious conversations around that and how that can really enhance their, capabilities of a business running better and smoother. Cool.
Well, it can do. And, we've used it to do in our sort of testing to, write me a policy about expenses or something like that.
Yeah.
And it will pull one together. Now, it's not perfect, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's a great starting point to go, oh, actually, let's change it because the language is slightly wrong, or, we don't want that particular thing. But, to get you out of the blocks, to get you to like 70% there on something, it's a super useful tool.
Absolutely. And look, if we can get there 70% there quicker, but then sprinkle that magic on the top to, define, how we can make it better. That's the big thing. If we just use it and think it's the finished article, I think we're going to see loads of flaws. If we use it just to, like you said, as a starting point to then, make it better, I think it could be really brilliant. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, the famous question that I always ask, which I know is not always that easy, I suppose your core USP. So if we were to tell the market right now, what would Digital Space USP be in the market?
We were talking about this yesterday at a board meeting, and
cool.
I said yesterday, not yesterday, sorry, I said earlier, there's lots of organisations like ours that, we all ostensibly do the same thing, and it can be quite difficult to differentiate.
Absolutely.
I think I would say our differentiation really, you could sum it up in a few bullet points really. We're super focused on that customer segmentation I discussed earlier.
Yep.
And we've got great referenceability in that area as well, in our chosen segment / verticals. So if you want to if you want to look at use cases for petrol forecourts or pub chains or that kind of stuff, we can just like roll out the catalog sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think the managed service we've developed over the last year is a good USP for us.
Okay.
It allows us to have a common language across the width of our technology portfolio, but also highlight very clearly to a customer what they're going to get at each stage. Fully managed, obviously, we'll do everything. But at what point does patch management come in? Is patch management important to you? And we're able to consult with customers a lot easier because we can sort of talk around. Well, this is where it is, and this is why you'd want it. And then I mean, it will be what everybody else says, but generally our people and capability are spot on. The way we've evolved our systems and processes, and the way that we do that through a project life cycle as well is really good. And we clearly feed that back into lessons learned. A great example of that is getting I think it was a sort of retail type rollout where we got a router swap down to about 10 minutes from half an hour at the start of the project. We've now got that super slick, so we're able to not disrupt customers, and that all stems back from us understanding our customers, right?
Definitely.
And I think that's where we play really strong. We are good at that distributed logistical kind of branch rollout stuff. We've got a good track record of planning that, implementing it, and rolling it out. And again, I can come up with all sorts of spin on that, but we've got actual customer testimonials sat behind in it going, these guys did a great job. So brilliant. I think that's probably better than me saying it, is our customers saying it, right?
100%. Look, and it's one of those questions where everyone wants to say they're great and they offer great solutions and a great service, etc. But you touched on that sort of full end-to-end managed service, right? Which is really important, and being able to look at that customer needs on that journey, opposed to if there's a problem, we help you, where actually we want to try and prevent that problem before it comes up, right? And that's what I got from what you just said there in terms of working really closely with your partners, understanding what their needs are, preventing any issues before they come up so they don't come up, right? And and you mentioned people and culture. I mean, any business is about the people, right? One person can't drive one business forward and turn it to what it is today. It's about the people. It's about who you hire, who's bought into the vision, the strategy, personality, character, etc. And actually that leads me to something that I think is really important and people really want to know. How do you build that culture within your business? I appreciate you don't do that on your own. There's leadership, there's heads off, etc. But how does Digital Space create the perfect? Actually, there isn't a perfect culture. I think people create that. But how do you guys build culture within your business? If someone was looking to leave where they are and join you guys, how do you support, build, and create a culture where people want to work?
Yeah, I think I mean, look, I've been doing this for 15 years now in different companies, seen different cultures, seen a few things. Don't at all profess to know everything about it. I think the key really, starts with communication.
Definitely.
Just talking to people. This is, and quite often, regularly talking to people about the same subject. So it could be, I don't know, you do a quarterly roadshow or something where you're always going over the strategy so people know it and understand it. Obviously, you then follow that up with things that tie into the strategy, like, SASE or whatever you discussed earlier from a technology point of view. But I think also, the really cool thing that we've done at Digital Space over the last, when did we start it? I think we started it in October, September time, was a leadership development program. So for all the management team and such in Digital Space, we went through the same management training. Obviously, that's not uncommon in industries, but we all found it particularly useful. We did an insights thing about how different people react to different ways, so you can frame a conversation differently, or understand people's point of view. That's been particularly useful when trying to get things done and trying to get the best out of people. I tend to I never see the point in hiding things or being, overly kind of sort of possessive about stuff. If something needs to change because it's for the best thing for the business or a customer or for the team, we'll change it. Just because one of us has come up with an idea doesn't necessarily mean it can't change. Change is probably the only certain thing there. And I do like the fact at Digital Space and other companies, we've got a brand. We've got quite a strong brand. We've got stuff that is branded, like all our lanyards, which obviously I'm not wearing. We've got jumpers and polo shirts, and all our offices are, our team who look after our facilities have done an amazing job at making everything look brilliant. So when you come into work, when you come into the office, which is, a subject in its own right, clearly, everybody's like, you've got a great sense of, I'm in a really cool office. I've got, the stuff I need to do my job, and I'm working with people who are also invested in doing a great job. And people are communicating to me. I understand why I'm doing the job, or why, that person over there is asking me this question. So yeah, communication, clear planning. I do think it's easy to try and do too many things in a business as well.
Definitely.
We've got all of these things to do. It's a bit like technology, isn't it? We could work with all of these fantastic vendors. You're like, well, we could do, but if we just did 2 or 3 of them, we could do them really well. And
exactly.
That's the same in the business, right? We've got all of these internal change programs or whatever we need to do. Okay, let's just do a few of them, do them really well, and then do the next ones.
Yeah.
And I think if you do that, you communicate to people why you're doing that, and bring them along with it. It's infinitely more successful. And maybe that's because I've done product management for so long, and because in product management you kind of have to bring sales along with it, but also bring operations and billing and finance and everybody. So you've got to communicate why we're doing this thing, build up cases, and demonstrate the value of something. And I think that plays quite a big part in building the culture of an organization. And
definitely, I think that's huge. And I was writing down communication, the why, follow up, feel part of, and that is exactly what creates a culture, right? Because everyone says, oh, we're really collaborative and we've got a really good team feel, but communication is a two-way thing, as we all know, right? And if you're going to communicate something, you've got to listen. And where businesses then don't listen and don't let people have an opinion, don't allow people to bring a solution to the table, unfortunately, that's where culture just starts to really drop. And you're talking about communication, follow up, the why, make people feel part of, and that's where you get the best out of people, when they feel that they are adding value, they're getting the self-satisfaction, they're part of something that is, I suppose, a unit, all going forward in the right direction, but together. I love the leadership and development bit, because I think, that's where it starts, right? It starts at the top and starts the funnel down. Yeah. And if that message is diluted, or, there's some managers brought in, other leaders going in a different direction, by the time it gets to, staff and teams, they don't really know what that message is. Yeah. And I think it needs to be clear and concise and joined up, where people feel, like you said, part of, they're excited about coming to the office, or whether they're working remote or in different countries. I think, that collaborative team feel is important, as long as it's communicated correctly, exactly what you said. Yeah. I love that.
Maybe the last bit I missed actually is sort of trust and accountability, right?
Definitely.
You've got to foster a spirit of trust with the people you work with, otherwise what we're all doing here. And then if people feel accountable for their role or their part in a project or whatever it is, it's got their name on it, to coin a phrase. They're going to do a great job, because I don't think I've really met anybody who wants to come to work and do a bad job. So
no, exactly.
If we trust them to do a good job, and we make them accountable for doing that, then a rising tide raises all boats, doesn't it?
100%. Exactly what I was going to say, in terms of, we need to trust people. If we don't, then they just sort of feel they're micromanaged. How are they going to develop, grow, learn, fail, overcome failure? And only happens if we give people accountability and responsibility for their own actions and a chance to sort of be better, right? But in a supportive way where they can learn and develop. No, cool. Okay, so before we move on to a little bit more about you, just in a quick summary, for any client that potentially is interested in, working with digital space, what does that perfect client look like? I know we talked about technology and the stack and the broad range of cutting edge tech, but what does the perfect client look like?
I think it is a customer with a headquarters and distributed offices. We can do sort of Europe and Ireland as well. So customers who actually, want to understand how an element of the technology solutions we offer can help them positively change their business.
Brilliant. Love it.
And it's just that, really.
And it's as simple as that, right? A customer that is prepared to work with you to achieve great results, and, it becomes a partnership. And, I think we touched on earlier, didn't we? No, it's not one hat fits all. It's and look, I'm a big believer of, the closer you work with people, the better that relationship becomes, and then it becomes a lot easier, right? Because you can communicate a lot more clearer and understand what is actually the objective and work together to achieve that. Cool. Okay, let's bring it back to you. What's your for the wider audience? If someone's going to come work for yourself, they might want to know what your biggest success, or your biggest career success to date is. I know you've been doing this 15 years. There's probably many, Richard.
Well, I've got this question. I thought I've had a few different phases of my career as well. So I used to be when I left uni, I was super technical. I used to work on Linux and Unix and write firewall rules and scripts and all sorts of stuff. And I did some great stuff, to blow my own trumpet. A load of automation work around website creation, writing code and stuff. And I was and am proud of that at the time. It made a huge difference to our 20-person team in Nottingham. And as you progress your career, you do different things, don't you? And I think the other standout one in terms of perhaps the next real phase of my career when I really got into product management is launching SD-WAN. Working both within the organisation I was at the time, but with the vendor as well, to create a business plan with key milestone dates, doing everything we just described, bringing along multiple teams in an organisation, some of them more receptive to SD-WAN than others, and really, creating a buzz and a vibe around that product and solution. And then, let's face it, we don't do it for a hobby. So we hit all the targets with the vendor. We deployed it to a load of customer sites, and it was a successful product launch, I guess is what I'm saying. So you look back and you think, actually, do you know what, that was pretty cool. It was a big old project for us. It was a significant investment, and I liked doing that. And I look back on it with the colleagues I work with and think, we did a good job there. And I think the work we're doing at Digital Space of evolving our managed service capability, if we're having this conversation in a year's time, and the way that we're thinking of further enhancing what we've discussed today, that will be another sort of chapter that I can look back on and go, we've done something cool there that I'm proud of.
Love
and
that.
It's not just me, the first thing is about me and coding and all of that sort of stuff. As I've progressed my career, it's much more about bringing people along with that, or leading something and trusting them that they're going to do their element of it, and that's satisfying in a different way, I guess.
Definitely. Look, that is, I suppose, any good leader should be all about empowering and helping and developing others, right? And I love when you use the word sort of creating a buzz. I think it's so important to still be passionate and excited about projects, technology, new customers, new services, because this is what we do day in and day out, right? We're not about to suddenly have a complete sort of job change, and I think passion, energy, enthusiasm is important, right? And I love how you sort of said, whatever you've launched, whatever you've done, even at an earlier career where you were sort of super hands-on, super technical, but then taking that sort of technical mindset onto leadership, and obviously now sitting there as CTO, but constantly looking to see where you can empower leaders and below to, keep this world ticking over, right? We want to embrace I don't want to say young, but new people coming into the industry, or people moving from a end user to the crazy fast pace of MSP solution providers. And if we need to create that buzz and that excitement and that passion, people need to feel it. No, I love that. And in terms of we talked a lot about, I suppose, what's going to happen over the next 18 months, 2 years: AI, automation, new technology, SASE, cloud, connectivity, networking, right? How do you personally handle change? I know that's...
handling change and training's a different thing. Change is like, oh, what? Yeah. So, I mean, we were with some people yesterday, and I put a slide up, and it was full of... I'd made the industry mistake of putting all the acronyms known to man on the slide. I was like, oh, what have you done? Because if you've been in the industry long enough, we've talked about SASE. We haven't actually said what it stands for or anything like that, so we can leave the audience hanging with that one. But you've got to learn. You've got to learn all the acronyms and everything like that. I think how I approach it is I like to do some sort of formal technical training at least once a year. Whether that's I'm not talking CCIE or anything. I'll do Azure fundamentals, or I'll refresh my Fortinet training, or do a course on hybrid cloud or something. So that gives you an understanding of the concepts. And I think I'm probably unfortunately at that point in my technical career where concepts is probably all I need to understand, enough to be dangerous, sort of thing. And then I work very closely with other colleagues and our strategic vendors, attend events and conferences, sit on partner advisory councils, all of that sort of stuff, where you just absorb this information through osmosis, right? And
absolutely.
I think if you've got a solid grounding in technology, I've got a degree in computer and networking engineering, which is, one avenue to do it. If you came up through an apprenticeship scheme as a network engineer or a coder or something, you've got that grounding in technology, so you immediately can sort of think of it. So I think there's no easy answer. You just got to kind of keep on top of it really a little bit and pick your battles as well. There's some stuff that you think, actually, that sounds pretty cool, but do I need to know it for my job, or do I want to know it just because I want to know it? And you might want to know it because you want to know it, but that's fine.
Yeah.
And then there's other things where you go, actually, I'll save that till next year because it's a big old topic to wrestle with.
No, look, absolutely right. I'm a big believer of those that embrace change, are far more successful quicker, right? Because it's an opportunity to learn, it's an opportunity to fail, overcome that, and then you learn more, right? And what I heard there was you talked about the concept, and I think that's really important for any leader, any C-level individual, anyone that's looking after technical staff or working for a technology business. We don't have to be hands-on anymore at your level, but having that sort of appreciation, that understanding, that passion to continue learning technology, to be able to have those discussions, and I think it's important, right? Because again, we go back to being passionate about the space that you work in, and people feed off that. I think it's really important, and also what isn't relevant to you, let go and let someone else do it, because they might be able to do it better, right? At the end of the day.
I think most of the technical stuff nowadays, I think there's infinite number of people who can do it better. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but then it empowers other people,
you need
right?
to understand why they're doing it and what the sort of thought process is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. Right. So, what advice would you have for others looking to get into technology?
I think it's pretty much what we discussed a minute ago. Be curious about things, learn how things work. Learn the concepts behind things. We've moved a lot of the IT industry into sort of abstract thinking. Like fabric this or hybrid that. What does that even mean? So you need to. I think you need an understanding of how networking actually works. Right down into the nuts and bolts of the OSI model, or IP address segmentation, all that sort of stuff, and likewise in cloud or UC, how does an actual voice conversation transact over IP? How does how does a storage array work or something like that. If you've got an appreciation for that and you're curious about it, you know, the passion and stuff you talked about will build.
Definitely.
And then you'll naturally find which one you kind of like doing, and you know, experiment with that. And you know, most people in this industry you come across from a technical background, we've all got some sort of crazy setup at home, you know, either a enterprise network setup in your house or something.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. I bet you send him in the garden.
yeah, all of that sort of stuff. Yeah. And you know, just just do stuff like that, or find, you know, why would I want a Raspberry Pi to do something at home? Well, you know, because it's cool to do it, in it, or something. Or why would I get Alexa talking to my Meraki network at home to turn off a light or something? Well, because then we understand how that data flow works.
And do you know what? I couldn't agree more. Curiosity, right? I mean, you know, it is the quickest form of development. You know, people that brush past it, ignore it, don't look to get a deeper understanding of it, they're never going to learn. You know, and I feel grateful to have worked with some exceptional engineers, consultants, architects, and C-level individuals like yourself. And everyone's always saying that, you know, be curious, be passionate, you know, always want to learn more. But equally, yeah, I love that. Yeah, beginner's mindset each time, you know, because, you know, and if anything, it may be that, you know, being curious and have that beginner's mindset, actually, therefore, you don't want to learn more about it. But that's fine. You've actually then had the choice to say no, opposed to some people check out too early. And actually, if you just been a little bit more curious, dug a little bit deeper, gone the extra mile, actually it might be, you know, a new area of technology or even a role that you move into and could have just enhanced your own personal development, growth and career opportunity, right? And I love that, you know, just, yeah, be inquisitive, be curious, look to learn, develop, and, you know, hopefully be better. Okay, cool. So coming to the end before we have some quick fire questions to wrap things up, but how shall I say? Okay, so who do you admire the most in the sector? Person, company, both?
Yeah. So I've chosen for this one of my friends, Lindsay Charlton, who I used to work with. So,
I know Lindsay.
Yeah. Well, maybe you know why I've chosen her then. You know, relentless sort of positivity and just brilliant, just person to work with. Really sort of kind and thoughtful. Obviously understands technology and everything we've just discussed, but just someone who, you know, it's an absolute pleasure to know and work with and learned a lot from. But just, you know, the positivity in the face of adversity is just, you know, just awesome. So yeah,
I love that. I mean, I've known Lindsay for a long time across various businesses, and shout out to Lindsay. I'm gonna have to get you under the spotlight, so I'm gonna tag her in this post. So no, I absolutely love that, and that's why I always love asking that question, because everyone's got, you know, their own personal, whether it be from when they first started, whether it be, you know, when they changed careers completely, or, you know, and I think it's important to whether it's be to look up to someone, or actually just think, do you know what, I actually learned a lot, or I just got a huge amount of value from working with that particular individual. And I think that's really important to hold close, because that will be a quality that you'll be able to then pass on to someone else. And I think that's what we talked about in terms of being passionate about developing, learning, and empowering other people. There has been, honestly, Richard, this has been absolutely fantastic. Some amazing insights there. And, you know, I just want to, you know, I suppose finish off with a bit of fun. Some fun quick fire questions. Keeping it as short as you possibly can. Right, which three people would you most like to invite to dinner? Dead or alive?
Dead or alive. I didn't say that in the prep. Right, so I've got Steve Jobs, just because I just, you know, anybody get about 30 seconds with him, I think it'd be worthwhile.
Absolutely.
There's a chap called Rich Roll who does a podcast. He has a phenomenal backstory. He has all sorts of people on his podcast. I'd encourage anybody to go and listen to that.
Love it.
Super interesting guy, super interesting story, and I think as a dinner guest he'd have some great tales. And then the other one, I don't know. I've got a couple in mind. You know, I thought about, should I invite my wife, because she don't get to come to many corporate dinners and stuff like that, and she'd probably not forgive me. I did think though we ought to have probably. I think either, and I guess we'll have to look at diaries. So Camille Harris, who's an ultra runner, or
Yep.
Marianne Voss, who's probably the greatest female cyclist of all time. I'd like to spend a bit of time with them just to understand how they keep going, how they do what they do year after year. Just that relentless sort of pursuit of excellence and achieving it at a high
Drive.
level.
Well, you got a good
drive.
mix there. You got professional sports, you got family, your wife, and IT.
Yeah, we
Champion.
need a bigger table. Yeah.
Well, absolutely. Cool. All right, Microsoft or Apple?
Microsoft for work, Apple for home.
Love it. Good. Football or rugby or tennis?
Football.
Okay, cool. Brilliant. Team, you sport?
Nottingham Forest.
Cool. Fine. Degree or apprenticeship?
Ooh, difficult one. I think I sort of still lean towards degree.
Yeah,
Just-
fair enough.
just-
Yeah, I mean, it's always 50-50, that one. But, yeah, depending on sort of what the personal background of that individual, they kind of lean towards one. Okay, so one thing, whether it be a hobby, a passion, or something weird that, most people won't know about you.
I did ballroom dancing lessons to prepare for my wedding dance with my wife. She did the lessons as well.
Did you nail it?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We did all the sort of strictly sort of different dances, but we then arrived at the dance and we did a proper dance rather than just the click your fingers and sway side to side thing.
Awesome. You showed me up. I just hired Elvis, but not the real one. Favorite technology over the last 20 years?
iPhone, I think.
Yeah, cool. Right. Best thing about someone working or joining the channel?
The best thing about the channel to them.
Yeah, exactly. What would be the best thing for them if they were to join the channel?
Okay, I think the community we've got in the channel, as I've moved around in different roles and you speak to different people, you advice would be never burn your bridges, but we've got such a great channel, such a good community within the channel. There's loads of opportunity out there for us to work with customers, but there are excellent people in this channel, and it's a pleasure to work with them.
Definitely. I couldn't agree more with that as well. And it is, it's something that I'm super passionate about. I've worked in it for the last 16 years of 18 years of recruitment, and the people you meet, what you learn, the change, the technology, the communication, the community is just, I've never experienced anything like it. And there's always an opportunity to learn off someone, whether they've got less experience or more experience. So, okay, a motto that you live by, or top bit of advice that you would give to someone. Motto, advice, one line.
Well, there are two, but I think the major one is the I think it was George Washington, wasn't it? Of don't delay till tomorrow what can be done today.
Love it. Absolutely, yeah. Take it, own it, make it happen, right? Okay, so one thing you would like to have known at the beginning when you entered IT that you now know?
Probably more the more on the personal side. Don't be afraid to get involved and ask questions and all of that. There are no stupid questions. When you're early to career or whatever, you're more insecure in yourself, aren't you? And that's only natural. But
Definitely.
if you could wind the clock back a little bit, it would be have a little bit more self-confidence and be eager to continue to learn.
Love it. Richard, well, listen, that is now the end of this Spotlight series. Honestly, there has been some amazing insights there. I've enjoyed every second. I really appreciate it. For the wider audience, I'd just like to say if anyone would like to reach out, if anyone wants to comment, connect, link up, have any questions for Richard or myself, all the details are below. You can join our podcast. You can subscribe to our channel. But, once again, Richard, I wish you and all of Digital Space a huge amount of continued success. Such a great story, such a great journey, loads of opportunity there for people that are interested in joining or clients that want to engage. reach out to Richard, and I'm sure he'd be happy to have a chat. But once again, mate, you've been absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for your time. It's been brilliant.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.